It's one of the biggest rivalries in college sports. If one of these teams saw the other one drowning, it would stick a hose down its throat. No, it's not Auburn, Alabama, not Duke, North Carolina, not even Michigan, Ohio State. It's Quinnipiac, Yale, and we're here to give you everything you need leading up to the opening face-off. This is Bobcat Game Day. Separated by just 8 miles, these teams absolutely hate each other. Quinnipiac and Yale men's ice hockey have been battling it out for years, and tonight is the 16th annual Heroes Hat. Welcome into Bobcat Game Day. I'm Dylan Fearon. MJ Baird and Kyle Lavasser are live outside Frank Perotti Jr. Arena. We'll get to them in just a minute. We've got everything you need to get ready for tonight's highly anticipated matchup. The opening face-off is set for 7 p.m. Quinnipiac hasn't lost to Yale since the 2013 National Championship game. The Bobcats are coming off a win against Brown last night, 5-0, while Yale lost to Princeton 5-4. All right, let's go to MJ and Kyle. Up on your kill. You guys...
Dylan, it's a little chilly up here, but we're doing all right. Thank you for tuning in. This is Bobcat Game Day. And as you just said, Dylan, these are two teams that hate each other. Yeah. Quinnipiac, I think they still dislike Yale after that national championship loss. They haven't lost to them since 2012 and 13. And MJ, it's the biggest game of the year. Quinnipiac students love it. Unfortunately for them, it happens to be over Thanksgiving break this year, so there may not be as many fans lining up today, but the ECAC implications matter as much as ever.
You're certainly right, Kyle. Quinnipiac with a tough start to the ECAC schedule. They get their first win just last night against Brown. But as you said, it falls over the Thanksgiving break, and you look behind us, not too many students out here this year. Last year at this time, this line was around the corner, Kyle. You could see fans excited everywhere. Again, that was in February. Here we are in November, so just not the same atmosphere, but I wouldn't expect anything different on the ice.
Q30 Sports has got you covered the entire day. We've got goalie coach Jared Wayman breaking down plays on the touchscreen. We give our own predictions for the ECAC. We might even get a couple fans here on the desk, but it'll be a fun time. I can't wait to get it going, MJ.
All right, Kyle.
All right. Dylan, we're going to send it back to you down in the media suite.
Guys, thanks. We'll talk soon. All right, let's recap Quinnipiac's season so far. Hasn't gone according to plan for Ren Pecknold. The Bobcats are 4-5-1, just 1-4 in the ECAC. That one win coming against Brown last night. Landon Smith with a hat trick in that one. Quinnipiac currently outside the top 20 in the USCHO.com poll, 33rd in the pairwise rankings, but a win tonight would give the Bobcats their first home weekend sweep of the year. Now to Yale, 3-4 this year. Only one win in its last 4 games. The Bulldogs score early and often. 3rd in the ECAC in goals per game. Watch out for junior forward Joe Snively. He's got 8 points in 7 games. And can't forget about forward Ryan Hitchcock, 7 points on the year for the senior. Well, one question mark that seems to surround Quinnipiac every game is which goaltender will be between the pipes. The Bobcats have 2 very good netminders, Andrew Shortridge and Keith Petruzzelli. And they've been sharing ice time this whole season. But Shortridge played the entire game against Brown last night and is expected to play tonight. MJ Baird spoke with Associate Head Coach Bill Riga and Captain Chase Prisky about the goaltenders and team leadership heading into tonight's game.
That's kind of the way we've been trying it, trying to do it in balance. We got 2 guys that can do the job, and I think, we're not blaming any losses on the goaltenders. It's just one of the things we need to get better at. And we'll just see in practice kind of who emerges and has a better week and play them Friday and deal with Saturday on Saturday based on how Friday goes.
Yeah, you know what, I came in and I didn't really know what to expect, but it's not just about the guys who wear letters. It's about the whole senior class chipping in. Like, whether they have a letter or not. They're still leaders on this team. We got freshmen, sophomores, and juniors that all look up to them. It even stems down to the junior class. Like, guys in that class need to step up and have a bigger leadership role. It doesn't matter if you wear a letter or not. It doesn't even matter if you're in the lineup or not. Like, if you're an older guy on this team, you need to step up and lead, and it can be vocal or through your play, but it's got to be found somewhere.
I think more of it is just the emergence that some of the guys are new at this role, and they need to figure out, okay, now we've hit some adversity. How are we going to emerge as leaders? I think they're in the process of figuring that out. I saw some things on the ice today, even after practice when we left the ice, that lead me to believe they're figuring that out. And once they figure that out, I think guys will follow and we'll get better in that area.
Prisky, by the way, the first junior captain for Quinnipiac since 2011. Well, one of the biggest reasons Quinnipiac should have an advantage tonight is the student section. They're as loud as it gets for the Yale game, and tonight should be no different. Q30's Krista Delane went around campus to get students' reactions to tonight's big tilt on the Hill.
This Saturday night, Quinnipiac men's hockey will face Yale University in the always anticipated matchup of the year. However, this year is a different situation as the game will occur during Thanksgiving break.
I'm not going to the game because it's over Thanksgiving break, so I'll be with my family.
I've been to every Yale game so far, and I only live 20 minutes away, so it's easy for me to get there, and then I won't be missing like going home or anything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Normally, it is nearly impossible for most students to get tickets for the game that annually sells out within minutes.
So I actually got a ticket this year, which I was really surprised about, but I figured if I got a Yale game my senior year, I'm definitely going to go. Last year, I got a ticket only through a friend who got tickets from a father.
This year, with the game taking place during Thanksgiving break, many students have decided to go home instead of stick around campus.
I am not going to the Yale game because I work that day, so I won't be able to go.
I am not going to Yale game because I totally forgot to get a ticket and I want to go home and see my dog, but I completely support the Quinnipiac Bobcats and I hope they win.
To give Quinnipiac that extra boost tonight. Before we throw up to York Hill with MJ and Kyle, there was a plethora of big games for other Quinnipiac athletics teams yesterday. Both basketball programs faced Power 5 teams, and volleyball was in the MAC tournament. But we start with rugby. The Bobcats in the NIRA semifinals against rival Central Washington. It's the third time they've met this season, and by far the most important. Quinnipiac, the higher seed, and at home, these two teams split the regular season series. Last time they met in the playoffs, well, that was the national championship game. QU was the two-time defending champions, so they won that one. This one was close early. Central Washington leads 12-7 at halftime. Second half now, it's 26-14 Wildcats as we head into the second half. 26-14, but the comeback is on. Rebecca Haight running and running and running and down right near the try zone. Bit of a scrum here. Everyone taking their time, and eventually it's going to be a try for Quinnipiac. That's 5 points for the boys and girls keeping score at home. 26-19 now. What's that saying? Lions, Tigers, and Mika Maples, oh my! 65 yards to the hizzy. Put 5 more on the board for QU. Conversion is good. So it's tied at 26 as she just gets into the try zone. And she's going to get some love from Rebecca Haight. Get it? No? All right. Anyway, we'd be remiss if we didn't show some Alona Marr, best player in the country, and she shows off her clutch factor. You can't stop me. That's her second try of the day, and that's all Quinnipiac would need. Why not pour it on, right? Quinnipiac wins 43-26. To the championship game they go. Dartmouth standing in the Bobcats' way of a national championship, but they're all smiles right now. Late game throws were all the rage last night in Quinnipiac athletics. Women's ice hockey forces overtime against number 4 Clarkson thanks to a Kenzie Lancaster goal. In the extra period, who but Melissa Samiskevich to be the hero? Left-handed wrister into the top left shelf. No shot for Clarkson's goaltender. The Bobcats get a much-needed win on the road, 3-2, and face St. Lawrence today. All right, to volleyball. MAC tournament time for Quinnipiac. The Bobcats sneak in as the last seed in the tournament and face Iona. Fairfield won the regular season, so the Stags are the host. Let's take the video. It was all Iona early, up 2-0. But Quinnipiac storms back, and that's where we're going to begin. Iona's Claire Archibald decides, I'm going to take over. Powerful kill from the back row. I don't even think Hakeem Olajuwon could have blocked that one. Tied at 22, Kaylee Oates. Big kill to give Q the lead. Set point now in the third set. Morgan Sherwin refuses to go home. Iona's lead cut to 2-1. Fourth set was all Quinnipiac. Another kill by Sherwin. She had 7 on the day. And then watch this miscommunication by Iona here. Gales are rattled and Quinnipiac takes the fourth set 25-14. So that means a fifth and final set to 15 for Claire Archibald. Too good though. No shot for Kat Miller in this fifth set. Watch this Archibald, all MAC player for Iona decides, that's my turn here. Kat Miller, no shot. And then this serve by Miller is going to go way out of bounds. Iona takes this one 3-2, ending Quinnipiac's season. All right, both basketball programs were also in action last night. The men's team played great for 39 minutes against Colorado of the Pac-12, but it takes a full 40 against the Power 5 team. Up 13 with 5 minutes to go, but it wasn't enough. Free throws came back to bite the Bobcats. Rich Kelly misses one with the Bobcats up 2 and just 9 seconds left. But Alan Chi gets the rebound and is fouled. He misses both. Then McKinley Wright grabs the rebound and buries a 3 from the top of the key at the buzzer to beat Quinnipiac 70-69. A heartbreaker after playing so well defensively and from downtown all night. The women's basketball team then went on the road against number 9 Ohio State and, well, didn't go great. The Buckeyes win by 32. Quinnipiac has its home opener against Northern Colorado next week. I mentioned earlier that Quinnipiac earned a much-needed win against Brown last night, so let's show you the goals. It was the Landon Smith show early. First period now. This is going to be John Fergelli. That's fun to say. Shot and Landon Smith, as we're going to wait on Fergelli's shot here. Fergelli's shot, Landon Smith's going to clean up the mess, puts it in to give Quinnipiac an early 1-0 lead. And look, Smith, the senior, was in the right place at the right time all night. Brogan Rafferty shot from the blue line, deflected off Smith and into the goal. 2-0 with 6 minutes left in the first. Quinnipiac was comfortable all night. Second period, well, it was goals, goals, goals. McMaster shot, and Smith with another rebound here. Natural hat trick for the senior. He's got 5 on the year now. But Quinnipiac wasn't done. Chase Prisky says, hey, it's my turn. He gets into the action. 5th on the year for him as well. That's tied for the team lead with Smith. And one more for good measure. This is Smith to McMaster. Too easy for Quinnipiac. Again, the final 5-0. Enough for me. Kyle Engineer still up at York Hill, ready to give you everything from right outside the arena. There are players to watch and predictions around the ECAC, and of course, the prediction for tonight. Boys, enjoy the game and stay warm, all right?
Live from York Hill campus, this is Bobcat Game Day. Hello, everyone. I am Kyle Lavasser alongside men's ice hockey beat reporter MJ Baird. MJ, I'm just so excited. This was probably my favorite event we did in Q30 last year, and it should be set up for another good one this year.
Well, first off, don't discount yourself. You're also a Quinnipiac men's ice hockey
Very true.
reporter. But you're absolutely right, Kyle. Last year, we struggled a little bit with darkness, but I think we have it figured out this year, so I'm excited to get going.
I think we're all set, and a team that may have figured it out after last night is the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team. Let's take a look at the ECAC standings after last night. They got their first win in conference play against Brown last night, giving them 2 points and taking them out of last place. You see St. Lawrence there is the bottom team with only 1. And when you look at the top of the list, you got a few really powerful teams right now in Clarkson and Cornell. They're both undefeated in conference play. Union also tied for first with 10 points. And then you got Colgate, Yale, Princeton, Brown. Harvard a little lower down than we thought, 2-3 in the conference. They were number 3 in the nation to start the season. And there are your ECAC standings. Let's take a look now at the country with the USCHO.com poll. Denver is your top team in the nation with 43 first-place votes. The top 3 teams in the country, MJ, come from the National Collegiate Hockey Conference out west. You got St. Cloud State at number 2 in North Dakota. That conference has been dominating all year long. Cornell, the only team left that's undefeated in the country. They're 7-0-0 after getting a win last night. So, MJ, what is your take so far with the ECAC?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Quinnipiac played Cornell in that first game of the year, and now we see Cornell as the only undefeated team left in college hockey, as you said, Kyle. Looking at the USCHO.com poll as a whole, I mean, would you really expect anything else? The NCHC is a great conference. They should have those top 3 teams out there. And it's interesting, too. Quinnipiac has fallen outside the top 20 with their 0-4 start. Maybe a win last night, and we'll obviously see what they can do tonight against Yale might help. But with a team like Brown of their caliber, I don't think that's going to bring Quinnipiac all the way back to the top 20.
Pretty crazy to think, MJ, that only 2 years ago, when they had only lost 4 games all season long, they've already lost over that only in November at Thanksgiving break. They've already lost 4 conference games to start their season. So pretty crazy to think. Rand Pecknold said the same thing. Yeah. But moving on, let's just talk about the goaltending for a second. You got sophomore Andrew Shortridge. He had a great end of the season last year. He's been pretty good so far to start off the year. He got the win last night against Brown, his 2nd career shutout. And then you got Keith Petruzzelli, the highly touted freshman, the top USHL goalie and Detroit Red Wings prospect. We sat down with Quinnipiac goalie coach Jared Wayman just a little bit ago, and he breaks down his 2 goaltenders. Take a look.
Let's talk a little bit about the mental side of being a goaltender. Sure. You speak a lot of being decisive and how that really plays into success for a goalie. What is it about being decisive that leads to goalie success?
That's good. It's definitely like a key pillar or principle of what I like to emphasize, obviously, with the goaltenders. For me, what it does is the net's only so big, so if you make a decision and it works out, great. If it doesn't work out or the decision doesn't feel right, you at least know where you are and you know where you have to go. Right? So the net's only so big. All right, if I make a decision here, I'm covering this much net, okay, the play moves or it doesn't happen the way I thought it was going to, I know what net I need to cover. Mm-hmm. And also, you can't be in 2 places at once. So if you're indecisive, your save selection or your positioning opens up. You might open up net, you might move your body, or you will move your body a certain way that you're not familiar with. So when you're decisive, you're going to make saves and positioning from a position that is familiar or from muscle memory. And goaltenders practice over and over and over again. There's a lot of repetition. So if you know what you're covering, you know what you're giving up, you can make your next move more efficiently or with a greater purpose. I'm lucky because I get to coach them, but Coach Riga and Coach Pecknold and Coach Dume and Reed Cashman, when he was here before, they recruit him and bring him to me. Right. As a volunteer, I'm not allowed to recruit. So they do a great job getting great goalies here. Once I have them, you know, each of them, it's always about confidence. I'm sure you hear that with all the other sports. And it's always about confidence in them knowing who they are and what their skill set is. And when they're younger, as Petruzzelli and Shortridge have been, since I got them, Gart's already had a pretty established game by the time I got here. You help them find their key attributes and get them to play towards those strengths. You always still want to work on things that need to be improved, but you work on or you find ways to use their key attributes, and that's going to give them confidence and hopefully some success.
All right, great. Well, let's break down some of these plays. We'll start with the sophomore, Andrew Shortridge, who's seen 5 games this year. Here's his stats. So let's break it down. What do you like about Shortridge's game that's had him seen 5 games this year?
He's certainly a calm goalie, and his work ethic is close to impeccable. So he provides a good amount of consistency in the way he plays certain situations, and it lends us to know what he's going to do, and then the defenseman can act appropriately from there.
Well, let's break down this play against Cornell this past weekend. It was a breakaway. He has a pad save. What do you see here on the play?
First of all, his poise, which is a key aspect of his game. He lets the play develop. He doesn't get doesn't move too much or too early. And the biggest thing is the gap. So right here, you can just leave it right here. Mm-hmm. he plays a little deeper than some guys, but he holds his ground. You can see his stance, his positioning right there is excellent. His eyes are down on the puck, and he lets that player make the first move. Same thing you would teach an 8 or 9-year-old, and he responds confidently. So the decision, as we were talking about before, was for him to hold his ground, and he decided to let that player make the first move, trusting his save selection and his tracking. And he made a nice little fun breakaway save there.
Here at the TD Bank Sports Center with Quinnipiac fan Megan Kelleher. And Megan, you've been lined outside here for a while. What time did you get here?
We got here at 1:30.
And why did you get here so early for a game that starts at 7 o'clock?
We thought there would be a line, so that's kind of embarrassing. But I'd never been to a Yale game before, and I wanted to get good seats, and hockey's like super important to me, and I'm a senior, so it was like last chance.
So you've never been to a Yale game, but you are a senior. What have you heard about it?
That it's hyped. It's unlike anything else. I had to be there, you know?
So my question is, you've been here since 1:30.
Yeah.
Not many other people are there with you. So what do you think? Is the student section even going to be full tonight?
I mean, I think so. I think a lot of the seniors are going to the pregame. I think a lot of people are doing other things. It sold out. It just didn't sell out as quickly. So people probably don't anticipate having too much of a problem, but we certainly won't.
Megan, thank you so much for joining us. We're now going to take a look at a clip from earlier in the week, our show Bobcat Breakdowns. Sierra Goodwill and Ryan Chichester said who they thought the Grand Marshal of the Quinnipiac Bobcats was. Let's take a look.
The team has been looking for their Grand Marshal player. In other words, someone to rely on and lead the team in their parade to victories. So Sierra, in your eyes, who is that player for this team?
So the person that I choose to be leading the team down on Thanksgiving Day parade is Odin Tufto. And I know he's a freshman, so people might not look to him as a natural leader because he's young. But he leads the team in points with 10, but 3 of those are goals, 7 of those are assists. He's especially good at finding his open teammates. He sees the ice really well, and the reason why I think he would lead the parade is because he makes all the people behind him or next to him look really good. So I think he should be the one to lead the team.
Well, like normal, I'm going to go complete opposite of you and go to a senior who's a natural leader, been here 4 years. How about Bo Pieper? He's entered the season, played 120 games in his career. That's second most in Division I history. He's also played every game this season. He's got the longest active streak in games played. So if you're looking for someone to lead, why not follow someone who's out there all the time? And he's got the name, Bo Pieper. Sounds like a boxer.
I really think we just
almost
chose the 2 players with the coolest names on the team.
Maybe, but he sounds like a boxer. He's got, boxers come out of the tunnel with that entourage behind him. He's leading the parade behind him, and he's got a couple goals this year. So it's more than just showing up on the ice and playing these games. He's producing on the ice. Someone that Rand Pecknold can always count on to be out there, even if he's a little banged up. That's exactly who you need to be leading this team. Don't just look at the stat sheet. Look at the workload.
I agree.
An update on Quinnipiac women's hockey. They're at Appleton Arena against St. Lawrence, one of the top teams in the country. The game is tied 1-1. Melissa Samoskevich, her 6th goal in 4 games. She had the overtime winner last night against the reigning national champs Clarkson, and here she is again.
Samoskevich has been absolutely unbelievable for Cass Turner's women's ice hockey team. Overtime winners, clutch goals at big times, and to tie this game at 1-1.
And going even further than that, without TTC Infrano and Sarah Ev Katugabu, who she started on the first line with at the beginning of the year, they're both gone with injury. I think it just says volumes to how much she is stepping her game up with those players gone.
I would say that Melissa Samoskevich is the Grand Marshal of the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey
That's
team.
a great segue. So, MJ, we just heard from Ryan and Sierra. Who do you think the Grand Marshal is of the Quinnipiac men's team?
Well, maybe I'm not in the majority here, but I'm not entirely sure what a Grand Marshal is. You're telling me that it's the person...
Honestly, I wasn't sure either when I heard it, but our executive producers Shane Dennehy and Brian Schwartz from Bobcat Breakdown, they thought everyone knew what a Grand Marshal was, that it's common knowledge, but I had no idea.
Apparently it's someone who's supposed to lead the Thanksgiving Day Parade. Nonetheless, if we're going to go leaders, right, I got to pick the captain. It's Chase Prisky. We're going to talk about him a little later. He's a captain on this team. He's a junior, so clearly he definitely deserves that role, being not even a senior and likely going to be the captain for 2 years. If I need someone to lead my team, it's the person who I want wearing the C on the ice, and that's Chase Prisky this year. The Bobcats, with only 2 players wearing letters, that's Chase Prisky and Kevin McKernan. In past years, we've seen 3 or 4. So leader, I got Chase Prisky.
I can't argue with that. Something I found interesting, I was watching a video just the other day from back in 2009 when the men's ice hockey program was on the up and up. And Rand Pecknold said he doesn't just look for a guy that's wearing the C. He doesn't look for a guy that's wearing the A on his sweater. But he looks for about 6, 7, or 8 guys in the locker room that are upperclassmen. That's a real nucleus of leaders. And not to knock Chase Prisky or any of the upperclassmen, but I just don't see that this year. I think it's been obvious the last couple of years since we've been here who that nucleus is. Our freshman year, you have Michael Gartig, you have Soren Janssen, you have Tom Hilbrick. Yep. You have those guys in the locker room that everyone loves. Last year, you have the Clifton brothers. You have people beloved Derek Smith. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have those.
Great student, too.
Exactly. You have those guys in the classroom, on the ice, in the locker room that you can just go to. But I don't see that this year. I mean, I don't know if that has anything to do with their success on the ice this year. Mm-hmm. So my grand marshal, to just put it short, has to be Landon Smith. We saw what he did last night with the natural hat trick against Brown and an assist. I think he has the talent. He's a senior. He's been there. And he has the most career games played in all of the NCAA. And I know Ryan said Bo Peeper, he chose him because he's playing out there all the time. But Landon Smith is right above him in career games played. So I would choose Landon Smith.
My 2 cents on Landon Smith is when he scores, it seems to come in bursts, but he's just never been that guy to put in or net the goal when you absolutely need it.
He needs to be more consistent.
Very, very much so. I mean, hat tricks against teams like Brown and Dartmouth in past years is great, but really, you got to find the goal when, you're down 1 in the ECAC playoffs. In the past, that's been someone like Sam Annis. If Landon Smith can do that this year in his senior year, then absolutely I would not contest that whatsoever.
Well, let's move on to our impact players for tonight's game. For Yale, it is going to be Joe Snively, the junior. Both at the 8 points this season. What do you think of the impact players, MJ?
Well, I mean, these are, Kyle, we're dealing with some wind up here on York Hill. Our
little windy.
Going everywhere. And my hands are cold, too, so we're doing our best to keep it down. Nonetheless, Joe Snively and Chase Prisky, I mean, I just harped on Prisky wearing that C for the Bobcats. He's the kind of player that can make a difference off the ice, never mind his on-the-ice abilities. Power play, he's out there with Brogan Rafferty moving the puck well. Penalty kill, too. So Chase Prisky's just the absolute all-around player. People are saying that, Chase Prisky might become a household name in future years if he does make a name for himself in the AHL and NHL level. And then Joe Snively, too, on the Yale side. I think he can really be a difference maker this game. He comes in here, he's been around the block. He's played Quinnipiac before. This is going to be a hard-hitting game. I would not be surprised if the referees get involved and penalties do become not uncommon in this game, so you never know. And
Chase Prisky has taken advantage of those penalties. We were both down at Ingalls Arena last year for the Quinnipiac-Yale game. And Chase Prisky netted 2 power play goals off of 2 5-minute majors. Mm-hmm. So if he has time, he had a power play goal last night against Brown. He could be huge on the power play.
For sure.
Let's now look at our keys to victory for both teams. For Quinnipiac, it's going to be good defense leads to good offense. And what do you mean by that, MJ?
Well, Quinnipiac has been known for blocking shots in the defensive zone, and sometimes when you block a shot, it's just going to deflect right into the neutral zone, and then you can use your forward attacking speed and skill to take it to the net, and you're going to end up with goals. And Quinnipiac has been known for starting in the defensive end, playing good defense, playing better in the neutral zone, and then it's easy when you get to the offensive zone because it all starts on the defensive end.
And their second key is the Tufto McMaster Landon Smith line needs to produce offensively. We saw that what they did last night, and if they can do that against Yale, I think they'll be in good shape.
Quinnipiac right now has one very good line, in my opinion. Quinnipiac has one very good line, and 2 others that are a little below that, and then the 4th line a little below that. But if, like you said, that line, the McMaster Tufto line, can step up and make Quinnipiac 2 outstanding lines, one a little below that, and then one a little below that. They can be a very good team because we've seen in past years they've rolled 4 lines over the bench that are some of the better lines, in the conference. Right now, I don't see that being the case, but if this line can step up and maybe the 3rd line as well, we might see some different results.
As for the Bulldogs, it's pretty simple. They need to score more than 1 goal in this game. And MJ, you had a pretty interesting stat with them.
I don't want to get this stat wrong, so bear with me here as I shuffle through the wind to find this one. But Yale has split every series so far this year, so they are 3-3 in the conference. And in the 3 games they lost, they've only scored 1 goal. Okay. But in the games they've won, they've scored 5 or more goals. Okay, so there's
going into this weekend before last night's game against Princeton.
Before last night against Princeton, last night was a 5-4 loss. So that stat was a little skewed due to last night. Thank you for correcting me, Kyle. But,
no problem. That's why I'm here.
You're exactly right. If they can find ways to get more pucks past whoever the Quinnipiac starting goaltender is tonight, and I think that's a topic for discussion as well. But nonetheless, if they can find a way to get more than 1 past Petrozelli or Shortridge, then if you look at the stats, they're going to have a real good chance of winning this game.
And who do you see starting in net for Quinnipiac as we're on the topic?
I mean, last night Andrew Shortridge pitches his first shutout of the season, 2nd career. if you have a shutout the night before, your confidence is probably pretty high, and also you're the sophomore, so you're the older of the two goaltenders.
And he won the Yale game last year as a freshman.
Exactly. So I'm going to go with the guy who has the experience, who's beat Yale before, and put him out there. I said the same last year when I thought Chris Truhl would start against Yale, and well, it was Andrew Shortridge. So Red Pecknold, you never know what his decision is going to be. But nonetheless, my opinion is going to be Shortridge. But, you know, in past weekends, they've been known to split. Specifically, 2 weekends ago now, both goalies played half of each game. Granted, each goal he gave up 3 goals against before being pulled. But as you heard in the media day, thoughts before the game, Bill Riga said that was part of the plan. So maybe they're going to split. Who knows? But I would expect Shortridge.
I would have to expect that Shortridge also starts. I mean, second career shutout last night. And we heard Jared Wayman, his goalie coach, say it. He has impeccable preparation and work ethic, exactly, which Pecknold looks at. And in a game like this, I think work ethic, you got to reward that in a game like the Yale game. Certainly. So we'll see. Lines have not yet been decided. But going back to the keys to victory, Yale's second key is not taking bad penalties. Yeah. And they had 18 penalty minutes at Ingles last year. Made the difference in the game, really. But Yale head coach Keith Allain still thinks that they don't have a discipline issue with his hockey team, even after you asked it.
I asked him last year with 18 penalty minutes, of which Quinnipiac, I think it was 2 power play goals, if there was an issue with discipline in that game, and very promptly he shut that down. He didn't think there was a discipline issue, so was it the refs? Was it just his players taking what he thought were not penalties, but ended up being penalties? Who knows?
Yeah, I think we even have the clip, so let's take a listen to Keith Allain.
I didn't think discipline was an issue on my hockey team. I didn't think discipline was an issue on my hockey team. I didn't think discipline was an issue on my hockey team.
Well, you just heard it from Keith Allain.
Pretty firm. This was last year. So we'll see what happens tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised if penalties do become an issue. They became an issue last night as Yale was mounting a comeback against Princeton. A late penalty and power play goal by the Tigers gives Princeton the win.
Well, MJ, it's the most exciting time of the night, the ECAC predictions. We got a whole list of games to go through, so let's start out west. Harvard at Minnesota, 2 of the best teams in the country. MJ, who do you have?
Well, I'm going to take Harvard in this one. It's not the start they were looking for to start the year for the ECAC preseason #1, but they lost to Minnesota last night. I wouldn't be surprised if they got swept out on the road out there in the Western United States. But at the same time, I do think they can earn a win and split with the #7 team in the nation. I got Harvard.
I would have to agree. I mean, they started at #3 in the country, and they've already slid down all the way to number 13 in the USACHO.com poll. I mean, I think Harvard's got this. They have Ryan Donato and Adam Fox, both having pretty good seasons so far. Donato with 8 points, Adam Fox with 7 assists so far on the year. Look for them to generate this offense, and I think they get a win out west in Minnesota. Next game on the list, Notre Dame at RPI. Who you got?
Well, I'm going to go with Notre Dame here. I mean, RPI hasn't really impressed me. I mean, they beat Quinnipiac, but at the same time, the #4 ranked team in the nation in Notre Dame. RPI has only 1 win, and it was over Quinnipiac, so I got to take Notre Dame here.
Yeah, to put it quick, Jake Evans from the Fighting Irish leads the nation in points with 21 this year. It's only Thanksgiving, so who knows how high he'll go for the senior. I got to take the Notre Dame as well. RPI, I think it was a fluke win at home against Quinnipiac, but I think Notre Dame gets this one. Next one on the list, Brown at Princeton, 2 ECAC teams. Yep. Brown shut out last night. Do you think they get the win at Princeton?
No, I mean, I really don't. I'm taking Princeton in this one. Brown did not impress me. I didn't see anything that I thought was spectacular from them and anything that, could really make a difference against Princeton. As I said, the Tigers beat Yale last night 5-4, so I would say Princeton takes this one pretty easily versus Brown.
I am all in on Princeton this year. I like what they got. Max Veranu, Jay Kuffner, I think they got some good offense going, and I didn't see anything from Brown last night. I'm taking the Tigers big in this one. Next up, St. Lawrence at Colgate. I'd say Colgate's the surprise team of the year in the conference so far. Would you disagree?
I would not disagree at all, and I would be surprised by St. Lawrence. I mean, 0-4-1 start, the only winless team left in the ECAC. So I don't think they're going to get their first win this weekend. I got Colgate.
I also got the Raiders. No Kyle Hayden for St. Lawrence. I don't think we'll have to see. We only got a couple of games left, but I mean, we're both men's hockey beat reporters, as you did remind me earlier. So I guess we're on the same wavelength. Moving on, Clarkson at Cornell. This might be the best game of the weekend, other than the Yale-Quinnipiac game.
Yeah, I would definitely say this one is one, if not #2, second only to Quinnipiac-Yale. I'm going to stick with the undefeated Cornell, though. 7-0-0 in college hockey, the only undefeated team left. Who knows how far this win streak can go, but I think they have Clarkson tonight.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but again, we agree. I got to go with Cornell. They have the best goals against and goals per game in the ECAC. They've been dominant so far. If they can contain Sheldon Rempal from the Golden Knights, they'll be in good luck.
Agreed.
And now moving on to the game we are all here for, the Quinnipiac Bobcats versus the Yale Bulldogs, the 16th annual Heroes Hat, the Battle of Whitney Ave. MJ, who you got?
Well, Kyle, I told you yesterday as we were leaving, or Friday I think this was, as we were leaving the Quinnipiac rugby field, I said, yesterday is Friday. What am I saying, Kyle? The cold is getting
Busy
to
weekend.
Me. The cold is getting to me. I said to you yesterday, if Quinnipiac beats Brown on Friday, I think they beat Yale on Saturday. I said if Quinnipiac loses to Brown on Friday, I think they beat Yale on Saturday. And no, I didn't make a mistake. I had Quinnipiac winning this Yale game no matter what they did last night against Brown. Although I think it's a little better chance that they can win now. They have momentum. They have the confidence. They got the monkey off their back, finally clinching that first win. They're at home. I am interested to see what the crowd's going to be like tonight. I mean, still, not many students, if you can't even see them in your shot here, not many students lined up outside the TD Bank Sports Center. Bottom line, I have the Bobcats. Who do you have?
You know, MJ, I went back and forth all week trying to figure out what was gonna happen. I think the Quinnipiac gets a little more momentum after getting their first ECAC win last night. I think that gives them some confidence. But then I also look at what I mentioned earlier. Do they have that nucleus of leaders you need in a game like this?
Especially against Yale, yeah.
And the fact that the X factor is gone with the fans not being here, creating a rowdy environment. Yale had a big number 3 win against Harvard, who was number 3 in the country at that point, on the road. I got to take the Bulldogs with this. I think this is the year that they finally get a win against Quinnipiac, breaking that streak since they haven't won against the 2012-13 National Championship. I think the Bulldogs finally get a win.
What do you got for final score, Kyle? I got 3-1 Quinnipiac, but an open netter, so 2-1 game right down to the wire.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I don't think Yale gets more than 3 goals against Shortridge. I'm going to go with a 3-2 win for the Bulldogs.
Okay.
Well, that'll do it here from the Quinnipiac York Hill campus. It's been a pleasure, MJ, so far. We'll have post-game coverage. It's been pretty cold out here, but wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Absolutely not, Kyle. It's been an absolute blast up here today outside the TD Bank Sports Center. I don't think we have Dylan Fearon with us anymore, so that's all we have.
Looks like we do have Dylan Fearon down in the media suite, if I'm correct. Yes, it looks like we do. So we're going to send it back to Dylan Fearon. I think that'll do it for us. Thank you for joining us on Bobcat Game Day. Dylan, back to you.
Guys, thanks. I don't know if I agree with all those predictions, but I'll leave those to you as the beat reporters. But again, opening face-off 7 o'clock. Make sure you follow MJ and Kyle on Twitter, as well as the other men's hockey beat reporter, Jonathan Banks. Enjoy the game. We'll talk after. Don't forget to check out our website at Q30TV.com. And from MJ and Kyle, I'm Dylan Fearon. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk soon. Good night.